Welcome, everyone. Very special edition of the Dr. Greg Show, December 24th, 2025. Hope you guys are having a great Christmas Eve, hanging out into the new Christmas Day. Guys, you have a very special way to start the show. You know how we like to do it here. We're starting out with a vaccine party. Amazing. Great job, Sheepadoodle. Kiddo getting 2 vaccines, polio and Hep B. Amazing. Great job, Sheepadoodle, being a great parent. Gotta vaccinate your kids, everyone, to be a good parent, right? Gotta reduce the amount of harm that they are being susceptible to. And that brings us down up to 1191. Guys, in 3, let's give it up for Sheepadoodle. Lots of V's in the chat, or Mava. 3, 2, 1. Great job, Sheepadoodle. One of the earliest supporters of the Dr. Greg Show. Sheepadoodle, everyone. Awesome. Awesome to have him. Always a good time. Always asking amazing questions. Appreciate you so much, man. Hi, Noema Streams. Hi. Yeah, guys. Unfortunately, we are guest restricted on this account. We tried to do a fun Christmas Eve hangout session. Apparently got too spicy. I don't know what to do anymore. But you know what? We gotta just go forward with what we got. The appeal didn't go through. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean, guys? But we have things to do. We have things to learn. We love to learn here. I was thinking about doing a epistemology stream where we try to understand that, maybe like some intro to epistemology videos, or we were thinking about an evolution versus creationism debate. I have a debate coming up in January with a guy, so I need to basically watch some of his content to understand what his main talking points are and his main stuff is. But we don't have a date. It's going to be sometime in January, I'm thinking. So, or we can do that. So, like any good democracy, we're going to put it to a vote, ladies and gentlemen. So you can vote here. Say what you mean. Mean what you say. No chats so far on YouTube. There you go. Okay, so custom evolution debate. And evolution debate or philosophy learning. Here we go. 3 minutes. Go. What, you're the Jesus on diet? Yeah, I'm definitely on the genus. Jesus was on the dinosaur thing for sure. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, no, Amos. Yeah. I've gotten hit a couple times. I got hit 2 weeks ago. My entire live got taken down for 3 days. This is just the evolution versus creationism debate is going to be the guy that I'm debating in January, and the philosophy is just like an intro to philosophy or epistemology class. We were kind of like looking into that last week, and I just kind of like wanted to learn more about that, and I don't really understand like the philosophy bro arguments and stuff, so I wanted to kind of like learn a little bit about it, kind of thing. I am debating Jim Bob. That's his name. That's his name. Yeah. No, you're fine, MB. You're fine. Evolution always. Oh, exciting. Exciting. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, let's do I mean it's more pertinent to do the evolution debate, I think. So um if I had a choice, that'd probably be my choice too. Just because Jim Bob. Let's see. Made by Jim Bob is literally his name. Ancient astronaut. I don't share the miracle and blessing that is my brain and actions with everyone. Keeps my peace in my face. Okay, nice. Hey, I love that you're here 5 minute. I love it. Hey, Merry Christmas, Ruben. Hope your day's going well, man. Let's see. Okay, so there's him reacting to a video. There's let's see. Okay. Hi. Okay, let's see.
But you actually have to tell me how it works that the Pakicetus through random mutation becomes a whale.
Okay, here we go. Okay, everyone hear this? This is exciting. Learning. Everyone ready to learn? Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, can you do that for me?
Yes.
Oh.
But you actually have to tell me how it works that the Pakicetus through random mutation becomes a whale. Can you do that for me?
Yes. It's a combination of random mutation and selection pressure.
You just simply said random mutation with environment pressure produces this thing. I ask you, how does random mutation actually produce this effect? And you know what your answer was? Random mutation produces the effect.
Yes.
Yes.
Because this is demonstrated in reality.
How?
The development of ring species, for instance. If you've got a quadruped, gradually elongating and making its tail larger, making it a more efficient swimmer.
How?
That provides.
Yeah. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not describing the mechanism of actually how it's working. I wonder what this guy's PhD's in.
How do genes
look, dude, look. Let me ask you a question.
Sorry, no.
Let me ask you a question.
Hold on one second.
I'm answering your question.
Dude, you're just saying things grow.
What I want to do is just
Do Komodo dragons have bigger tails than other lizards? Yes, they do. So evolution is clearly capable.
So your argument.
Yeah, exactly, Debate Doc. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You just have to describe that the random mutation is going to confer a different amino acid, and then that gives an ability for a portion of the population to do an ability that others can't, and then that basically creates something that can be selected for. You know, if it has a different amino acid with a different function and a different ability, then yeah. But like some random mutation that doesn't give any new ability can't be necessarily selected for. In theory, it could, but it's kind of like a long thing. But anyway.
Is Komodo dragons have longer tails than other lizards, therefore they evolved from something what? Not a lizard? Or I don't understand. What's your claim here?
No, they evolved from things with smaller tails. We can look at the earliest reptiles. They have smaller tails.
Cool. How?
They evolved to have bigger tails. Similarly, we can see in the spectrum of lizards that they have different tail geometries. So the idea of evolution producing different tail geometries, different limb geometries, different lung geometries, that's entirely consistent with the observable data that we have.
Oh, dude, this Jim Bob guy is super into logic bro stuff. Like that. That's honestly a reason why I kind of wanted to brush up on it too, is because like he's super into this whole thing. Like he really, like when he gets pushed up against it, he always goes down into like the Philbro stuff. Yeah, maybe it's a slightly different Hox protein leading to an additional tail vertebra or something. Yeah, exactly. It's some, it could be something that's like, the selection doesn't necessarily have to be natural. You know what I mean? It could be from like mating selection. Like natural selection kind of infers like nature and the, it can be abiotic, it can be biotic, it could be a whole host of different things. Hey, Rapture, welcome back. Are tailbones considered vertebrate? That's a really good question, Debate Talk. I would think so. Wouldn't they? That's a really good question, man. I'm not 100% sure. It could just be selective pressure by the mate, and then the mate just picks it. That could be it too. Doesn't necessarily have to be like some crazy thing.
So the question is whether or not the mechanism you're saying produces longer tails or shorter tails can produce a long line of changes where the lizard is no longer, the future lizard is no longer itself, right?
So if you track back far enough, you can find the earliest examples of something that's in a clade.
I understand.
But that doesn't mean I can do without your interpolations while I'm speaking, but thank you.
Calm down.
And if you continue doing this, I'll just talk for longer. So this is a classic misunderstanding and straw man of evolution. That somehow an insect
on his own stream, he's going after him. Oh my god. Oh no, yeah, don't do that, Heather. Yeah, you don't want him to do that. You don't want to break your vertebra. Don't do that. No, Envy, he's not doing that on his end. See, to me, I do it to your face. This guy's doing it just to his stream, and he doesn't know that this is happening, so it's even worse.
Insect will evolve into a non-insect.
I didn't say that.
No, if you're an insect, you're going to remain an insect forever. Cool. That is the evolutionary model. Mm-hmm. All of your descendants will be insects.
Yeah, for real.
Similarly,
yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your dad, for real, though. I'm sorry.
Anything that is a descendant of a whale will remain a whale forever. But going back in time, they weren't always whales. They didn't have.
That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction.
No, it's not.
No, it isn't, and I'm still talking.
Why you talk so much? Let me talk.
At one point,
fuck, dude.
Tony, just
filibustering, man.
Keep it as quick as possible.
Yes, and if he keeps interrupting me, I'll keep talking. I don't take well to interrupt.
You're not the moderator.
If you want me to stop talking,
hold on one second.
If you want me to be concise,
right, Jim Bob.
you've got to stop.
Unbelievable, man.
Jim Bob, I need you to also let me just moderate right now, please.
Yeah, please. If the Pakicetus is...
This guy is a really known, like the moderator and Jim Bob, they like know each other really well. Jim Bob's on all these modern day debate like panels. He's at the conference that they do, everything.
Is a wolf-like land animal, wolf-sized land animal, right? And
what?
Well, man.
Jim Bob, I need you to also let me just moderate right now, please.
Yeah, please. If the Pakicetus is a wolf-like land animal, wolf-sized land animal.
Pakicetus. Pakicetus? I have no idea. Oh, okay. A whale from Pakistan. Oh, this is what it was. Is an extinct genus of amphibious cetacean. This is, oh wow, it is the whales. Wow, that is cool. This is the thing. I had heard about this, but I didn't know what it actually was. Which was also endemic to South Asia during the Eocene period. About 50 million years ago. That's it, guys. That's crazy. It's crazy to think that whales only evolved like 50 million years ago. That is so crazy. I mean, it makes sense because like dinosaurs were 100 million years ago, and mammals were only the size of like rodents during the age of the dinosaurs. So it actually makes a lot of sense that it was 50 million years ago. It was a wolf-like mammal, about 3 to 6 feet long, and lived in and around water where it ate fish and other animals. The name Pakicetus comes from the fact that the first fossils of this extinct amphibious whale were discovered in Pakistan. The vast majority of paleontologists regard it as the most basal whale, representing a transitional stage between land mammals and whales. Gosh, that is so cool. It belongs to the even-toed ungulates, with the closest living non-cetacean relative being the hippopotamus. Nice. That's cool, dude. How could anyone... Alright, done. I don't understand how anyone could like read that and be like, no, wait, stop. What would you say to that? It's like, that's cool. That's amazing. I don't get it. Wow, look at this thing. Okay, so you're telling me that this thing is going to turn into a killer whale. This thing right here is going to be a killer whale. Yeah, right. Give me a break. Ungulates are cool, dude. Even-toed ungulates. Whoa. Those are just... What? Wow. Cool, man. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. They're all the herbivores. Okay, that makes sense. David Suzuki has some really good programming on our whales with feet. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, wow, Sheepadoodle. Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Merry Christmas. It's really nice of you. This is a fast video.
Right.
Be able to get through
in 15 million years, it becomes a whale. Not it literally, Tony. That's a claim.
That's what he said. He said this thing doesn't become a whale, but in millions of years it does. He literally said that.
How did you determine mechanistically that occurred, please?
Well, I mean, right now we can tell through sequencing that it happened, right? But mechanistically, mutations arose in the population over time and over generations. It created an allele shift, which creates evolution. Evolution is the change of allele frequency over time in a population. That's it. That is what evolution is, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. It's a fact of the matter. You can't really... There is no like debating whether or not it happens. The allele frequency changes over time, over generations. It just does. I don't understand. It's just what it is.
Okay, so we know the mechanism by which it occurred, right?
How?
We know that it's so you are denying that we can see in existing animals that genetic adaptation does occur.
Well, no, genetic adaptation, what you call in existing animals, if you're talking about adaptation, what you're pointing to is genetic code or genetic information that's informing a behavior that's well within already existing. Now, you're claiming something else. You're claiming that random mutation in one clade produces some sort of effect that then creates a diversion from that clade. You're going to have to tell me mechanistically how...
So evolution happens within a population. Population gets separated by a bunch of factors. That separation is the selection that happens, right? So it's very simple. Very simple.
How random mutations, right, produce an effect that leads to a whale existing that's downstream from a wolf-like land animal. That's what you have to do.
Do you not understand?
Yeah. So alleles are like, think about alleles as when you go into suburbia, there's a lot like, just see, like when I walk around, like we live in the suburbs in North County, San Diego, like we go around and we have like, there's 3 different prints of our house, right? There's 3 different things, and the house can be like reversed. It can be, but really it's like there's 3 floor plans, right? And basically there's lots of different addresses with those floor plans, right? So There's a lots of different places in the suburbs that have that house twisted or there, but it's the same house, right? It's pretty much the same house. This is a great analogy for a locus. So a locus is your specific street address. Your gene can have multiple locations, multiple copies if it's really important. Each one can have its own machinery that turns it on or off. But if it's really important, there's going to be multiple copies of it in order to make sure that it actually has, it has a good expression, right? That's the whole idea. So alleles are like the locus where they are, and then the genes are the actual protein. So the protein and the number of house plans, you can have it at different locations, right? So the allele frequency, right, between the entire population and all the mutations and stuff of heterozygosity and homozygosity and all that kind of stuff is going to change. It's going to change over time in the population, and that's the idea. Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's and that's like the housing floor plan like being different. Yeah. There would be a different variance, yeah. But the locus is the address, those little boxes. So you can have different genes. Yes, exactly, Debate Doc. Yes. Exactly. And genes do that too. That's why it's a perfect analogy. It's a pretty good one. I've been really thinking about this for a long time. Hey, Mackenzie, happy holidays. Because like genes can be inverted. Do you know Debate Doc? So it's actually kind of perfect with the suburbia with the house being inverted and like flipped. You can kind of, I don't know. It's pretty geeky, but I like it. Exactly. Yes, exactly. Nice. Exactly. Hi, Rapture.
And that genetic drift can occur, that the characteristics
That's
of
your claim.
Animals. It's observed that there's a salamander in California that is diverging from where you've got a branching away from an original population, and you've got the two ends that can no longer interbreed.
Okay,
so
Yeah.
Tony, the problem is if
Sure.
you observe a bunch of things with finches and there's some epiphenomenal change in their traits, behaviors, beaks, claw sizes, tail sizes, feather sizes, color, etc., you're actually still looking within a universal called finches, right?
Yeah.
Your claim, the thing I'm asking for evidence.
When the selection happens, yeah, they are. But then like a niche forms, and then they basically live in this world that they kind of like inhabit now. So it's like we got separated, and then now we live in two different areas, right? One that can live in this climate and one that can't. One that can live in this, this ability to withstand this pesticide of this predator, or we can't, So that is the difference that happens.
For is that the finch in this case is stand-in for the Pakicetus. The finch, do you ever see any adaptation in the finch that would lead you to believe that over millions of years, 15 million, let's say, will turn into not a finch and something completely not a finch?
Yeah, there's no blueprint for like what it could be. There's no like human blueprint in a bacteria because we are as evolved as they are. Each of those finch populations would theoretically be just as evolved as the other ones. It's just that those different groups are now evolving forward at their own pace and doing their own thing. Yeah, exactly, Debate Talk. Yeah.
we've already been over this. That can't happen.
If the Pakicetus dies as a Pakicetus, and
unfortunately this guy doesn't understand like the mechanisms that much. It honestly is a little weird how DNA mutations can lead to actual new species. A lot of people don't understand the actual mechanisms of it, but people will say it happens, and we know it happens, but it's one thing to actually see it. Too much inconsistency with evolution. How so, Ruben? What is the inconsistency? Where is it?
Whatever subcategory of the Pakicetus, they also die as a Pakicetus, right? What I'm asking for, mechanistically speaking, I don't want a story that it happened. I want you to tell me how it's the case that a clade, starting as one thing and dying as one thing, how does a clade create a pathway to something it's not?
That is again such an idiotic.
Like how and nobody that saw a wolf 10,000 years ago would have thought a Chihuahua and a Great Dane could come from the same DNA pool, if you will. You know what I mean? But 100 years ago, humans figured out that there's one growth hormone gene, by the way, a single growth hormone gene that changes the size between a Chihuahua and a Great Dane. How could have anyone known that? Well, we could have known that if we had known like the growth hormone gene 10,000 years ago, and we could watch how the mutations accrue in it, or a bunch of mutations happen inside of the one that makes the Chihuahua, and but I mean we can check that now, but it's just one gene. It's not that big of a deal. There's some great simpler examples though. Antibiotic resistance of bacteria or micro. So debate doc. So these would. They would say that this is an example of microevolution. That would be their arguments, but I agree with you. That's the most simple to understand. But I agree with you, and it obviously is the same mechanism and stuff. But they say microevolution and macroevolution. He's talking about, in his mind, he's talking about giraffes and zebras, not like horses to zebras. Well, so, but Ruben, you're kind of like using the colloquial term like theory, but in scientific terms, theory is, sorry, debate doc, sorry, sorry. So evolution like is a theory, and gravity is technically just a theory, or like the Earth is round is a theory, but colloquially, like theory and fact are more similar than not in science terms. So that's the problem. Like that we don't use the fact term because fact is like 100%, and science can never be 100%. So we're technically never going to say it's a scientific fact. But it pretty much is shown true through experimentation, and I mean evolution happens, like I've used it in the lab, dude. I've used it, it's a tool that we use. It's like a screwdriver, you know what I mean? It just is. It's a tool that it exists. Stop, Ruben. Stop. I don't know, Ruben, if you're trolling me sometimes. I don't know if you are. I think you're joking, but I'm not 100% sure, and it scares me. I'm scared, Ruben.
Question to even ask.
When I say a Pakicetus, right, the population has some random mutation that results in a divergence from the Pakicetus to something that's similar to it, and then that similar Pakicetus diverges and creates something similar to the previous one.
Sure.
You're saying that this succession leads to eventually a whale. Now, I asked you, how do you know this, right? It's an assumption, and you say, we observe it. Look at the flies that don't change into other things.
Yes, just like a Pakicetus, as we have established 3 times now, does not evolve into another
That's right.
thing.
Thank you.
It develops into a descendant of a Pakicetus.
Mm-hmm. And then a whale, right?
So and eventually a whale.
How?
Yes. Again, through genetic mutation.
How though?
James, at this point, this debate is over. Either the audience accepts.
Rage quit.
No, the debate is pointless.
If I can just,
what he wants.
forgive me,
No,
Tony.
I'm
You're
serious
such a baby.
What he wants I've answered this question multiple times. He just refuses to
Maybe,
accept the
Ruben.
validity of the answer and then goes back to his talking
What I need
point
to
as
do-
though he's argued anything. This
What
is
I-
pointless. This is literally a waste of
Stop
my
crying,
time.
He's
man.
crashing out
do-
hard.
The liver, as we know, the liver, peculiar to vertebrates,
Like no offense, dude, but you've kind of you said that you were going to do this. So is this the last evolution guy that he's debated? So I'm going right off the heels of this guy on this. So I'm right after this guy.
serves a very specific function. It processes toxins. Now, do you hold, Tony, that evolution also produced through random mutation a functioning liver with hyper-specialized?
He says this a lot. The liver. He uses this as an example all the time. So I think I need to know the evolution of the liver. I think when I looked at it previously, it was basically a vertebra. So chordata, organisms that evolved a vertebral and a central nervous system has some type of like circulation in it. So therefore it needs some type of cleaning apparatus. Yes, Debate Doc, on the guy on the left, yeah. On Modern Day Debate. It's like one of the biggest YouTube debate platforms. Yes, he is. Yes, Sheepdoodle, he is. He's a creationism. He thinks that he has it in a flat earth too. He thinks that we are living in a what is it called? A thing. He doesn't think that aliens are real. He doesn't think that he thinks that space is fake, basically. He thinks that space is a projection. What is the topic specifically? Evolution. That evolution is real. How do you feel about Dr. Dave? Do you mean Professor Dave? Professor Dave Explains? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know who you're talking about specifically, Dr. Dave. A foregut derivative? Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, Hazel, I can see that. Oh, interesting, Ruben. I didn't know that. The Bible talks about the flat earth. I don't get where they're getting it from. Huh, interesting. Professor Dave Explains is great. Is a great job. I love his content. I watch a lot of it. Likely evolved from a primitive hepatic diverticum found in the early chordate ancestors. Okay, so I had it right with the chordata. Interesting. How can you believe in all those things? I know, Heather. I think that's my question is like, when do you know that you can if you want to join the if you want to join the voice chat on Discord, I can chat with you on Discord. Do you want me to call you? I am an atheist, yeah. I got guest restricted. I got guest restricted on this account. Debate Doc. I'm sorry, bro. Hi, Cher. Merry Christmas. Yeah, Jolly. I think I need to brush up on my epistemology and my philosophy for sure. Okay. Let me call you. Okay, let's try. Let's see. I'll find you. Oh, nice. Perfect. There you go. Sick. What's up, brother?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you guys hear him on stream? Let's see it. Go for it.
Cool. So I just wanted to see if this might be a helpful primer on the liver and maybe a good place to start in terms of like your search.
Okay.
So if I recall correctly from the School of Medicine. So yeah, like I was saying, all of the GI organs, or at least most of them, some of them I think are like neuroectodermal derivatives, but most of them are like mesenchymal, so mesoderm derives. And the the liver, it's either a foregut or a midgut derivative, but I think it's foregut because I think the whole hepatobiliary system, like it empties into the blood and it comes off splenic artery. Yeah, so I think it's all foregut derivative, the whole like hepatobiliary system. So, like embryogenically, you would go like mesoderm, and then like you would get your kind of like most of your internal organs are like kind of mesoderm derivatives. So it's a lot of your like mesenchymal stuff, and then so that's like early kind of pre-embryo stage really. And then during like embryogenesis, you develop like a foregut, and then the foregut sort of expands into your actual gut, like your GI tube, your intestines, and then you've got all of these like different derivatives, like the liver, pancreas, spleen. So like those are all I think the foregut derivatives, and then you've got kind of like midgut, hindgut. But like the foregut, midgut, hindgut would be like those kind of embryonal structures that then develop into these, like ultimately develop into these organs. Mm-hmm. And so, you've seen all those pictures of like, embryos, like early embryos kind of resembling like different, like different species, like, a human embryo and a chicken embryo, like very early on, but kind of similar. It's kind of like tracing our evolutionary history, sort of.
Yeah.
So, I think like probably like super early chordates, that had a much simpler, gastrointestinal system, right? They probably just had, and this is somewhat speculative on my part, but I feel like this might be a good place to kind of like begin your search. They probably had just a much simpler gut, like no real kind of detoxification system. Just a kind of relatively primitive kind of tube,
Okay.
And then as things, so like that would just kind of be like the, foregut, midgut, hindgut, just like a, kind of a tube, like a GI tube, right? And then, as kind of the various species developed, I'm sure you got kind of elaboration of these structures into, the kind of organs that we see in, let's say, like mammals today. I mean, and other chordates too, I'm sure, but like, like that we see in mammals today, like, the liver and the pancreas, that are involved in, the pancreas is involved in digestion for sure. And the liver would be too, because the liver produces bile. So, the liver and the pancreas kind of like working to aid in digestion, and then, the liver taking on these kind of like this detoxifying role, and all that stuff. But they really start like with that kind of primitive tube that then sort of elaborates into these, much more complex structures. So that would kind of, so I think that like sort of looking at kind of the embryogenic, the kind of like embryonic origins of the structures, I think could be a helpful way to sort of like trace back kind of evolutionary history.
This is what it says on the on Wiki. The origins of the liver lie in both the ventral portion of the foregut endoderm being one of the three embryonic germ layers, and the constituents of the adjacent. Oh my god, I couldn't see that word. Say that word. Adjacent septum transversum mesenchyme.
Oh, okay. Sick. I was half right.
Okay.
All right. Half right. No, I was dumb. I think the GI tract is actually endodermal. Yeah, that makes sense.
Foregut endoderm. Huh. That's crazy. That's cool.
Yeah. No, these are be like muscles and shit and like the blood vessels.
They're mostly made out of hepatocytes.
Yeah. So like the liver cells are hepatocytes.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Anyway,
But,
cool. Yeah, I'll do that. In the human embryo, the hepatic diverticulum is the tube of endoderm that extends out from the foregut into the surrounding mesenchyme. The mesenchyme of septum transversum induces the endoderm to proliferate, to branch, and to form the granular epithelium of the liver. So cool. That is, that is really interesting.
The
We're looking,
glandular.
sorry, Cherry. We're looking up at the, basically this guy uses the liver as like, it's basically, irreducible complexity, but people will say it. They'll be like, some things are so complex that you wouldn't be able to have just a misformed organ like the eye. The eye is so complex that you couldn't like just evolve it in one go. And that's true, like, but that's not what anyone's like claiming that happens. It's 100 different variations of eye spots and those things getting better, and there's lots of different color cones and rods evolution that all kind of triangulate into a bunch of different things in creating eyes all over the in evolution. But this guy is like
And
uses liver.
I also don't know why they. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I also don't know why they always go to the eye, because like
eye spots are everywhere, bro.
I feel like
it's so
the eye's
stupid.
pretty poorly designed.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
like,
and
like
humans don't even have a
the
good
eye is
one.
not a great design.
And we don't even have a good one. We only have 3 different cones, man. Like the freaking mantis shrimp has 18, man. It can see in ultraviolet and infrared wavelengths. We can't see anything.
I was literally going to bring up the mantis shrimp, and like and like there's so many variations, and like cats, they have the vertical pupil.
Yes.
Which I think is a more efficient way of controlling light, which is especially important for them because they have. This is one of my like favorite kind of fun facts. So the reason that cats' eyes glow at night, same with like raccoons and stuff, is we have like the retinal pigment epithelium behind our retina that actually absorbs a lot of the light that passes through. It's pigmented. And so we kind of get like one pass at the light. Like it passes through, the retina and then hits the retinal pigment epithelium. A lot of it gets absorbed and then like that's kind of the end. So cats are crepuscular hunters, which means they're active at dawn and dusk. When it's relatively low light. And so they need to have better night vision, as we all know. And one of the ways they do that is they have this, in place of the retinal pigment epithelium, they have something called the tapetum lucidum, which means bright carpet in Latin. Hella fun fact. It's like a reflective surface. And so the light passes through the retina, hits the tapetum lucidum, and then bounces back out and gets like the retina gets a second pass at the light. And that's what gives them such better night vision because they get 2 passes at the light, whereas we only get 1.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And so like, but then they can still see in daylight, right? Like, you see lions hunting, during the day all the time, right? Because they've got those vertical pupils. Which I don't know if lions have vertical pupils, but I mean, like you've seen cats, like house cats, running around during the day all the time, right? They can still see fine. It's not like, their eyes get blown out by the light because they have those like vertical pupils to, very carefully sort of restrict the amount of light going through because, they already have that mechanism for more efficient use of the light.
Yeah.
So like they have better eyes than us by far.
Yeah.
We didn't get that eye system. Falcons have like much better vision. And then like all the different pupil variants, like goats have square pupils, cuttlefish have W-shaped pupils. Like why do we get little circular ones?
For real.
So I don't know why they always use the eye. Oh, and then there are other eyes. You get like compound eyes in insects and stuff like that, which are like, super, super efficient, So really terrible example on their part.
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't know why this guy brings up the liver constantly. Like it's just such a weird thing.
That is a really weird one because like As far as internal organs go,
Mhm.
I'm not even sure it's like, like if we're not doing the eye, I'm actually like, I don't think it's the best example of like irreducible complexity.
Yeah.
Like you've got hepatocytes; those are the main, the main drivers in the liver, right? So they're doing a lot of their detoxification. They've got like the cytochrome P450 enzymes in there, doing a lot of the detox stuff. They've got immune cells in there. They're doing gluconeogenesis. They're doing cholesterol synthesis, right? But relatively straightforward functions. They're involved in the I don't know, like red blood cell kind of processing stuff.
Yeah.
Platelet production, I think, takes place in there. You've got vitamin A storage. You've got like kind of bioproduction, like biocanaliculæ. But like all in all, like it's just some kind of like enzymatic functions, productive functions, but like nothing crazy complex. Like you just have cells that are sort of making stuff for the most part. So not anything crazy. Like the kidney is way more complex in my opinion. Like nephrons are hella complex. The whole like system for like concentrating urine, like nephrology is one of the most complicated, like units in like the preclinical years of med school, because the kidney has to create like all of these different like solute concentration gradients within different like levels of the kidney to like efficiently concentrate urine and like reabsorb necessary nutrients while letting unnecessary stuff like pass through. Hella complex, super complicated to wrap your head around. And he picks the liver.
Huh.
Like,
I had no idea about the kidney, man. Interesting.
It's just such a dumb internal organ to choose. And even then, our kidneys are not super efficient. Like, birds have crazy efficient kidneys. That's why, bird poop is, so like the brown is their actual poop. The white stuff is their pee. Like that's how concentrated the urine is. They draw almost all of the water back out of it and really just leave the like nitrogenous waste products. Camels also have hella efficient kidneys. So we don't even have the most, efficient kidneys, but they're way more complicated than the liver.
Interesting. Wow, I have no idea. I'll have to check it out. Interesting.
What's up, y'all?
What's up, dude? I'm just like reacting to a video on TikTok right now. We were just hanging out on trying to talk because I got banned for my guest access.
Ooh, that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I got banned a little bit ago for I'm saying not nice TikTok words.
It sucks, man. All right, well, I'm gonna go watch this video. So thanks, Debate Talk. Thank you, man. Scratch Weekend. I'll be hanging out. Maybe here, probably, maybe. Actually, I have maybe like next week. Maybe next week, man. All right. Love to catch up sometime, though. All right. See you, Debate Talk. See you, man. Dude, Discord has some new sounds, guys. You hearing that? Like the whole... Totally different. Isn't that wild? Very quiet, crazy. Okay. Let's finish this.
Task in the body. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Okay. So if I asked you, how does random mutation inside of an organism that doesn't have a liver, how does random mutation produce a highly specialized thing like a liver?
So this is a I'm going to answer indirectly here. So let's look at the development of something like the eye. You're looking at the finished product. And you're saying, how did you get something so complicated? But we can look back through existing organisms and we can see that there are the same structures in various stages of development. So we know that a non-fully functional liver, a slightly simpler slightly simpler version of the liver still provides an evolutionary advantage and still functions. And we can see even simpler versions in simpler life forms of waste disposal and waste processing procedures.
Heather, yeah, someone just someone in our group joined the Discord. We joined just the regular Hangout channel, so someone just popped in, but we're watching the video.
We can see the spectrum of how these things developed in the existing animal population.
Okay.
So the claim that just because a fully formed liver has to go through all of these intermediate steps, we can see each of the intermediate steps, and we can see that that at each step that population derives benefit from its version of the waste disposal mechanism.
Okay. So the answer you gave, you moved over to an eye. Interesting. You said the eye, what we're looking at is a fully developed eye. Well, under the evolutionary view, you actually couldn't know it was fully developed because it could still be evolving to not be an eye through some random mutation. The other problem you have is I asked you how you develop a liver.
It could be evolving to not evolve to do the thing that he did. What is he talking about? It's as evolved as anything else at that moment. It's not like halfway. See you, Cherry. Have a good one.
From random mutation, and what you did is you went back in time and granted yourself a type of proto-liver. How does random mutation produce the proto-liver then? Well, that's the next question.
Okay, this is perhaps best answered with a practical example. If you go to a color screen and you see a color spectrum from yellow to red, and you can step along the spectrum from yellow to red. Yellow to orange, say. When along that have you transitioned from yellow to orange? Is there a particular point?
Random mutation produces the beginning of a proto-liver. How does it mechanically do that?
It does. So you understand that there are chemical processes within a living organism, right?
Yes, but they weren't always there, right?
In order to be alive, you have to have chemical processes.
Okay, so not all chemical processes evolved. You had to start with just life, or what?
So evolution is not about abiogenesis. If you want to debate abiogenesis, that's a different debate.
I didn't say that.
So, no, but you're being obstructive and you're interrupting me again.
Stop crying.
In order to try and derail my explanation. There are chemical processes inside organisms. Some of the chemical byproducts of these processes are harmful and need to be excreted. The organisms that can develop mechanisms for binding those toxins and transporting them out through the membrane, they enjoy an advantage over organisms that can't. Therefore, you see the development of chemicals that will react and select harmful material and transport it to somewhere where it can be excreted. So I don't see where the implacable obstacle is that can't be overcome through simple perturbation.
Well, I mean, it sounds like, and this is similar with populations, your argument is that we can only affirm and talk about evolution if you already have populations. But the problem with that view is populations, as you see them from the evolutionary view, are products of previous populations. So the thing I want the audience to notice is constant in my debates with evolution proponents is that they grant themselves fully functional operations of populations. Not just the grand scale of the population itself, like a set of apes or a set of Pakicetus or wolves or anything else. Everything that's internally happening inside them, Tony grants that too. And I ask a simple question. He says, for things to be alive, they have to have all of these functions. By the way, if that's true, then there is a set of functions that were already there to begin with. That means that evolution didn't produce the function. So under Tony's epistemology, he actually can't tell me whether or not the thing called the proto-liver was always there or not from the start, like an eternal proto-liver, or it was the process of random mutation. It actually produced itself into existence. This is why asking the question, well, what happened before that? They spurg out and they say, oh, we're talking about abiogenesis. Well, we're not really. We're just taking your own view, Tony. And if it's the case that populations, like a population of giraffes, that's a biological effect. That is something we see as a phenomenon. A collection of giraffes. That's a phenomenon we see.
Oh
Under
my
the
gosh.
evolutionary view.
That's wild. That's actually, thank you, 5 Minute. Merry Christmas. That's actually a wild take, dude. That is a wild take, that populations are a phenomenon. I see. This is why we pre-watch, guys. I never would have ever, if I would have seen this live, I'd be actually struck. I'm actually shook. I don't understand. Like, this is kind of we see this a lot in evolutions, the debates, in a different tact. It's kind of like the evolution isn't true because mutations, only one thing is going to evolve, and then there isn't going to be a second thing in order to breed with that thing in order to make another one. So, like, when the chimpanzee finally does evolve, there's only going to be one chimpanzee, and then nothing else would be able to breed to make more chimpanzees. But that's not true because populations evolve, not individuals. But he's saying that you're giving yourself too much credit with having populations. You could not have populations of something, which is interesting. Thank you, Rapture. Thank you. Like the idea, yeah, I mean, there probably were, so the question is, would there have been multiple abiogenesis events at the start of this whole thing? Is populations a happenstance, or I think that you'd have to say that they are. I think you'd have to say that there are. I think the best example of that might be viruses being viruses evolving separately multiple times. But there is, like, for example, there's no like, we think that the prokaryotes, I'm trying to think that Ruben, what are you replying to? So their bodies won't attack their unknown organs. What was that? I'm sorry, Ruben, I missed your question. Oh, I can actually pull your stuff up, Ruben. I can see what you said before. Why do people? This is awesome. The new TikTok thing allows me to check back on your chat history. What do people who get organ transplants have to take anti-rejection pills for the rest of their life? Yeah, exactly. So, no, Ruben, we evolved that as a. Oh, man, Debate Doc would know this better, actually. It's like an evolutionary mechanism for, I'm thinking about the evolutionary reason why the RH factor evolved. I'm not 100% sure. Let me see. RH negative evolution selection pressure. The evolution of the Rh negative blood type involves balancing selection pressure, primarily the disadvantage of the HDN and Rh plus mothers, and a potential evolutionary benefit possibly malaria resistance that keeps the Rh negative allele common, preventing its loss despite the danger in pregnancy, creating a stable genetic polymorphism variation. Ah, dude, that's so crazy. 5 minutes just left, and that's what sickle cell's from. Ah, that's so wild. Factors like pathogen exposure, population migration, and genetic drift also shape its frequency, but the interplay between disease risk and potential protection maintains its human blood pool group. Huh, that's really cool. Nice. The more we learn. Do, 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 do.
You, Tony, you have to say that that phenomenon called a population was produced by evolution. But
no, it's not. It's not produced by evolution. No, for sure not. It's just a fact.
Thing is, you can't. That's it. Like, you just can't do it.
Wow. Are you thinking of self-replication? No, am I? Is he? He's trying to say that, like, at the beginning of life, like, there's gonna be he's basically doing that whole thing where it's like he doesn't understand that, like, species can mate with one another. That's like a fundamental thing that he doesn't understand. Species can interbreed, so you don't need more than one of a species theoretically. And then 2, he's kind of just like giving this impossibility of you don't know when abiogenesis happened, or you don't know when it is. But yeah, the idea that there is going to be like 10 organisms or 100 or 1,000,000, like, that is something that isn't a given. That isn't, things go extinct, that is a thing. That is a evolutionary nice to have,
Evolution only applies to populations, right? So the fatuous nonsense that we have to assume populations